are gathered here to just create a message that we weren't able to convey at the summit that took place at your college. My name is Sister Dr. Reparations.
My name is Temple Nefertari Mohini. I hail from Barbados and Trinidad, and I am present here and participated in my capacity as an African woman. But it may give me more credit if I also add that I'm an attorney at law. I was an inaugural member on the Barbados Reparations Task Force. I am the inventor of the Nefertari Green Mahat approach to building self-esteem in children of African descent, and I'm a Pan-Africanist. That pertains to the sacredness of the spaces that we used. And the question I would have liked to put to you, mostly for us to be very clear about how we embrace, how we treat our traditional African spirituality and the role that it is to play in this reparations fight is, did we pour water libation? Who were the forces that we invited into our space? Whose names did we call? Which ancestors did we invite to take us through this process? And the ancestors that we invited, and we invited to stay with us on all the days, did we even think to put any food for any of them on any of those days?
That's right.
Did they share in our breakfast, in our lunch? And did we pay any attention to the ancestral voices that wanted to be heard throughout the sessions?
Yes.
I will pause here while you reflect on those questions.
Greetings. As a daughter of the diasporic, indigenous, ancestral African civilization, a keeper of the Ka of Ast and Seknet in Perang and Smaitau. Here, the capacity in which we are sharing is to really contribute, not just contribute, but to contribute to the sacredness, the cultural foundations, the spiritual cornerstones that are centripetal to any discussion, fora, conference, seminar, DVD, CD exchange around reparations. Reparations on the ancestral level, reparations on the economic level, and reparations on all other levels, holistic, as we can go into very long engagements of discourse. Gathering as the International Reparations Summit here in New York, to have this series of concerns on protocol, principle, policy, process that to many was left unclear. I embraced the opportunity to share from the women, from the grandmothers, from the backbone, foundational cornerstone of our entire civilization, some voices that our ancestors have beckoned and drawn from each and every one of us.
And I speak as one of the voices, one of the mothers, one of the daughters, one of the sisters, one of the grandmothers. And I speak in the spirit of love, peace, and harmony. I am known as Sister Dr. Reparations. I come to these gatherings as an African woman, as a warrior. I do not have on my title and my role in the Western Eurocentric way of being. I come to these gatherings as an African woman concerned about the African family. I give thanks for the opportunity, and I give thanks for the guidance that is bestowed upon me and the protection that I'm afforded as I take these chances to come among people, some of whose name I do not know, but I trust that I'm protected and I'm guided by voices and a calling that won't let me be. My contribution in this way, because the way these events are organized, voices such as ours are often marginalized. And even as we seek to articulate them with respect and due regard, and we make ourselves visible, we are purposefully and willfully marginalized and silenced. That is a form of aggression that I would like to make you aware of, because I do wish to believe that you do not do this with ill intent. It is in the spirit of love and concern for the African family that we address you in this way. Just wish to share with you a couple of things. First of all, the paradigm within which we speak is a Eurocentric one. It concerns us that our worldview and our paradigm within which we communicate in is not African-centered. It is not an African-centered worldview because it is not balanced, because it does not have spirit as primary. If we go forward in this way without that perspective and that paradigm, we go forward arrested in our development. We ask that you take on board what we are saying. There has been a call for the voice of the African woman to be in these proceedings, not in any capacity, but in a particular capacity, an equal capacity. Leadership, advisory, evaluation, spiritual, healing, coordinating, even in terms of our security. We observe. What is this about? What is this reparations movement about? If it is about the people and you really want the people involved, would it be sensible? Would it make sense to create spaces for the people to also participate and not just witness, and not be caught up in what seems to be an orchestration where we are going to be witness to a fait accompli rather than part of the process to come to a conclusion. In an attempt to respect the proceedings, we did not speak. We became visible, and so we were ignored, and we find ourselves once again marginalized, even though we are at the center of the African family and African well-being. I am concerned, and my concern is shared not just by women, but by brothers, and they have expressed it, that the 10-point plan may need to be revisited. We have shared from around the world the horrors that have happened to the African family, the trauma that has happened to the African family. The solution, the healing, the gathering, the communication is the same. The trauma is the same. There should be no domestic and international. There should be no outside children. There should be no men only. There should be no status and title. When we come here as children of Africa.
I'm Isis. In the spirit of my name, Aset, goddess of creation, mother of Heru. I feel that my role is very much to speak about justice. It's my purpose, and always has been. I feel that reparations is, as we all know, we should know, about the psychological repair, more than many other things for our nation. We know this particularly as African women. And psychologically, there is a disconnect in our overstanding, I believe, in this commission and this summit and some of how we work about the shackles and the enslavement that we continue to perpetuate. So, for example, the hierarchical structures that my sisters have mentioned, the linguistic enslavement, the fact that we are beholden to a 10-point plan because it's a 10-point plan. We don't look at the sacred relevance of why a 10-point plan, why not an 11-point plan, a 7-point plan, a 13-point plan, why a 10-point plan? What we put in our bodies is vital. It decides the quality of our life, how we resonate, our spirituality is affected, and to walk into a room and find that there was no provision for people who choose an ITAL lifestyle, one that doesn't include eating additives and preservatives and poison, one that doesn't include supporting the very foundations of our enslavement, like these multinational conglomerates like Sprite and Pepsi and Coca-Cola. To find that these things were even on offer is quite disgraceful. I, like many of my sisters here, feel very, very strongly that nourishment is of great importance to our bodies and our minds and our souls. If we are not nourished correctly, we're not fit to even deal with the issues that we're going to have to deal with this battle for reparatory justice. So please, I would make an appeal to the organisers of this summit and to future summits that there is a lot of knowledge and skills and love and people who care about how we work together, and you could have taken advantage of this opportunity, be more inclusive, speak and communicate with us. There are many of us out there who are willing to put our time and effort into making these spaces the kind of truly reflective spaces of the battle that we are fighting against. We need flexibility, we need to throw off the mantles and the shackles, as I call them, of the Eurocentric system that we claim to be seeking to overthrow. We need to work in a very different approach. It is important that we discontinue this hierarchical structure of some people have more value than others. Each and every one of us as Africans have equal value.
That essentially talking about truth, justice, order, reciprocity, balance, divine righteousness, the harmony, ancestral principle of God. Our sisters highlighted the African central worldview that is centripetal, that is the foundation of whatever paradigms we're going to use in speaking about relations. That it highlights the role of women, the role of Afrakan women, the balance, the equal balance, the harmonious balance, that we focus on the segregation of the marginalized voices, the segregation of the marginalized voices. That has to cease. That can no longer be a common practice in any of these types of summits, gatherings, conferences, congresses, or whatever. That is not part of the 21st century forward. That the security on all levels has to be addressed, because everyone is moving in a accord that requires security. Almost all of us are moving in a direction where personal security are going to be essential. When we travel, when we're at places, we have to make sure that all of the areas, the corners, all of the entrances and exits are properly secured because of the nature of what's being done. And we know
we invite in.
Exactly.
Who sits amongst us.
Exactly. And clarifying that. And of course, these sisters to just reiterate the well-being in terms of food security.
We may be considered to be rather negative or aggressive. You know, the black is a complex. And our grandmothers and mothers were not always smiling and laughing, but always working toward our well-being. So it is in the spirit of our well-being that we give this very serious message. First, look at the paradigm, and all the other things will make themselves apparent. We are in partnership, in cooperation, in harmony, and in love.
Imagine a grandmother coming home, stepping into a house where her children are gathered. the children are behaving as if they're so much aware of how things are to be conducted, how they're to be done, and yet she can look around and see so many fundamental things are missing. And imagine the ancestors being here and present and recognizing that certain things that were to be done in this space were not done. And the ancestors, they're not as happy as they could be, because this is long overdue. There's a lot of work we were to have done that we were late in doing. So they're not all that happy.
But they're working with us because the bus is delayed.
Of course, because they've given us the opportunity to give you this message, to let you know that no disrespect will be tolerated. It is time that we as African people get our things in order. We recognize that there are two realms. There's the spiritual and there's the physical. And our community is made up of our ancestors. We talk about standing on their shoulders. So we have to properly acknowledge that when we come into a space. And if we do it again, we do not know what the consequences will be. And this I had to say because when I go home, I want to sleep well. I don't want to get any lashes for not delivering my message. So the bus has been held up by the ancestors so that I could deliver this message to you and we could deliver this message to you. We had to get it to you one way or the other.
Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. Peace and love. Peace and love. Reparations now.
Reparations now.